Hi everyone, welcome back to 5 Seconds to Sundown. It's Gemma here, your host. Something a little bit different today, a bit of a life update. If you're not interested, because this is not true crime related, feel free to skip this video. Honestly, I do not mind. But I haven't been in the studio much this month, and I wanted to explain to you why. In short, there's been a lot going on. So my husband has a chronic illness called IGA Nephropathy. It's a kidney disease. It's an autoimmune disease that kills off the kidneys. It literally turns them into scar tissue over the course of years. I think it's different from everyone. We've never actually met someone else with this disease. And we noticed a couple of months ago that there were not really any YouTubers talking about this. We wanted to get more information, but there didn't seem to be anyone online going through exactly what we were going through. And what I mean by that is, for the past 6 years, we've got a lot of doctors saying a lot of different things, saying things like dialysis, transplants, medications. And I think as a millennial, the first thing I would do if I'm confused about something is hop onto YouTube and see if anybody else is dealing with it. But there's not a lot out there. This is a disease that's more often than not associated with older people. My husband is 41. And I guess the majority of older people with kidney disease or kidney failure, they're not really thinking about jumping on YouTube to talk about it. And for that reason, we've been a little bit lost, to be honest. We did have dinner with a couple of friends of ours who have been through kidney transplant process, and they were able to give us a little bit of information. But what was interesting that we found was that the process was very cloudy for them too. You know, doctors just don't give you like this timeline of, right, in February this is going to happen, in April this is going to happen, and by December you're going to have a new kidney. It's just the road ahead is very dark. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that we don't know what's going to happen. So to give you a little bit of background, Louis and I have been married almost 13 years. And he's always been a guy that's been pretty healthy, except for the odd like rugby injury. He's ended up in hospital with a few times. He's ended up in hospital a few times with, you know, he tore his Achilles and he's had concussions, and it's always been sport related. So it was a surprise when he was diagnosed with this condition. Just so you know, it's really noisy in the studio today. There's lots of visitors in the studio. So if you can hear a lot of laughing and talking, that's just outside the door here. And I think Louis was diagnosed with this condition around 2019-ish. And when he was diagnosed, it did come as a shock because there was no instance that we knew of kidney disease in his family. It seems to be a bit of a one-off situation. And I tend to talk about this disease as kidney disease rather than telling people my husband as IGA nephropathy, because no one's ever heard of it. It's just not something that people generally, they're like, what? Sorry, what? So we just say he's got kidney disease. So when he got diagnosed with this, it was kind of by accident. We have a really, really good family GP, and she was just carrying out his annual blood tests, all of that stuff, and she noticed that his blood pressure had been getting higher, and he had had kidney infections and kidney stones, and she wanted to look a little bit more into what was going on. So she had some further tests done, and that's how that we found out that he had IGA nephropathy. I can't even say it. That's how we found out that he had IGA nephropathy. And he would have been about 35 at the time, 35, 36, something like that. And that was definitely a shock for both of us. But we did have to come to terms with the reality that maybe we were not going to be old people together like we presumed we would. And I think that's a reality that a lot of people have to accept with them or when them or their partner is diagnosed with a long-term illness or a terminal illness. Your future looks very different to what you expected it might. So we always wanted to buy an old cottage in France and renovate it, and that was going to be our old age. That probably is not going to happen now, and that's fine. We also like Queensland, so maybe we'll move there. But at the same time as all that, we thought that it was going to be a really, really long time before he started developing symptoms or any really concerning symptoms. And technically it was a long time. It's been 6 or 7 years. But he is in renal failure. He's in kidney failure now. Also, when you've got a disease that takes a really, really long time to manifest and people don't see you literally lying in hospital beds or walking with a cane, they kind of wonder, I thought this was really bad. I thought this was going to get really, really bad really quickly, and it takes a really long time. So there have been people that have questioned it, whether it's real. So where we're at now is that Louis either has to go on dialysis, which will mean at least 3 days in the hospital every week, or having a dialysis machine put in at our home. The other alternative is he has a transplant. If all goes well, I will be the one to give him a kidney. So hopefully within the next few weeks, I will be going to hospital to have a series of tests done to see if I am compatible and to see that, maybe I could donate. If I'm not compatible, I'll be really, really devastated, to be honest. I really, really want this to happen because he said to me every day feels like he's got a hangover. He's tired. The drugs have so many side effects, just so many side effects. So I think that him having a new kidney could give him a whole new lease on life. Sometimes when I tell people what's going on, they react with a lot of emotion and they ask, are you okay? How are you coping with all this? How do you even deal with all this? And the truth is we process all of this, and we have done for years, with humour. We joke about things that are going to happen. For example, I told him that if he gets my kidney, we can't be married anymore because he'll be my brother. We'll be brother and sister because he's got my kidney. Because in my brain, it feels all very weird and Frankenstein-y, and I don't know how to process that. Maybe a psychologist at the hospital will help me. And I know that that's not the case. That's just really stupid. Of course it's really stupid. But, you have to laugh. You have to laugh at these things. And we try to approach all aspects of his disease and his treatment with humour. Because if you don't laugh, you will cry. So we may as well laugh. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. I just wanted to put out a really short video about this. And I wanted to know, are there any other people watching that have experienced this disease, IGA nephropathy? What's your experience been like? My husband is not a camera kind of guy. He doesn't even like having his photo taken. So I don't know whether I'll ever get him on the channel to talk about this. So I'm more the one that, is quite comfortable getting in front of the camera and chatting. But maybe after the transplant, or maybe during the transplant, if it happens, when it happens, maybe I'll get him on to talk about it. But if you've been through this experience, what was it like? And did you have that sense of confusion and uncertainty that we have had? And did you find any resources online where you could go and share your experiences? I even looked up to see if there was a support group for IGA nephropathy. Of course there wasn't, but then I was like, is there a support group for kidney disease? It's just the future is so uncertain, because every time we get given a brochure or a pamphlet about kidney disease and dialysis, it's always older people drinking cups of coffee and laughing. And what about the younger people that have to work? What about the younger people that don't have time to just be at home and sit on a dialysis machine? He likes working. He likes going to the gym. He likes doing everything that he normally does. Going to the dog park, going fishing. He's that guy. So yeah, when we see these dialysis pamphlets that don't relate to us, it just makes the future really, really uncertain. So that's where I'm at the moment. I am researching cases right now. Truly, I am. I'm working on a really big series, actually, which I'm super excited about. But it does include reading lots of books, long books. So I'm doing that at the moment. Anyway, you guys, that's all I had to say. If you have any comments, suggestions, opinions, please put them in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe. Even though this is not a kidney disease channel, this is a true crime and ghost and haunted things and spooky channel. And I will see you at sundown.